your movie recap in a flash. We bring the drama, the action, and the twists. In minutes, the movie starts in a hospital, and the doctor is very surprised. He says, "What's the point of all this for someone who just got bitten on the hand?" He then asks the nurse to check where the patient is. The nurse looks at the system and finds that the man has been sent to the intensive care unit, which is even stranger because a bite usually doesn't require intensive care. After finishing her shift, she goes home to her husband, Lewis. Since they were both tired, they went to bed early. They didn't notice that the TV interrupted its program for an important news bulletin. The next morning, Lewis wakes up and sees their neighbor, Vivian, standing outside their room. When he approaches her in the light, Louis is shocked to see her face covered in blood. He tells his wife to call an ambulance immediately and moves toward the girl to help her. Suddenly, Vivian bites him on the neck. The wife runs and pushes Vivian into the hallway. Louis falls on the bed, but Vivian keeps trying to attack. The wife is terrified and quickly locks the door. She checks on her husband and covers his wound with a pillowcase. She then tries calling the emergency number, but the recording says all lines are busy. Meanwhile, Vivian is still banging on the door. Louis dies on the bed, but suddenly, within seconds, he wakes up again as a zombie and attacks his wife. She manages to push him away and grab the car keys before he starts throwing furniture. She runs to hide in the bathroom but accidentally slips into the bathtub. She tries to open the window, but it's stuck. At that moment, the house goes silent. She moves closer to the door and calls her husband's name. Louis responds by breaking down the door and entering. She tries to open the window again, and this time, she succeeds. As she's climbing out, Louis tries to grab her, but she kicks him away before jumping out of the house. On the street, people are running in fear. Many houses are on fire, and explosions can be seen in the distance. She tries asking a neighbor for information, but the man tells her to stay away and threatens her with a gun. Suddenly, an ambulance runs him over and drives off without checking on him. When Louis comes out of the house, she quickly gets into the car, but Louis jumps onto it and starts banging on the window. Thankfully, he falls off as she starts driving. Driving in the city is chaotic because other drivers are acting recklessly, and some people are throwing themselves in front of cars, begging for help. The radio announcer advises people to stay indoors, lock all doors and windows, and mentions that even military bases are not safe. Eventually, she reaches the main road, where there are more accidents and explosions, not to mention zombies attacking anyone they see. She screams when someone suddenly opens the car door to pull her out. She pushes the man away and tries driving again, but during the struggle, the car veers off the road and crashes into a tree. As the zombie apocalypse takes over the world, authorities try to communicate with the press, but can't figure out what happened or how to resolve the situation. People begin rioting in the streets, demanding the government take action. The military is deployed to cities to try to control both humans and zombies. Hospitals are overwhelmed, and buildings explode daily. When she regains consciousness, she finds a police officer named Kenneth, who makes her say something to confirm she's not a zombie. They walk together and meet 3 other survivors. The group initially fires at them until realizing they are not zombies either. The 3 survivors explain that they've tried many routes, all filled with zombies. The group decides to head to the mall as the safest option. While trying to break into the mall, some zombies approach. Kenneth shoots the lock, and they manage to get inside. Before they can lock the door, a zombie grabs Kenneth, but he quickly kicks it out, and the door is finally secured. They turn on the lights but find that the phones aren't working. They discover they're in a store with locked doors, so they throw something at the window to enter the main mall. Anne washes the blood off herself in a fountain. The group checks the main doors to ensure they're locked. Andrea and Michael volunteer to check other entrances, while the rest guard the main entrance. At the back entrance, Andrea is startled by a zombie pressed against the glass, but thankfully, the glass is shatterproof. Michael grabs a large hammer from a toy section before following noises behind a door. A zombie jumps on him, knocking him to the ground. The hammer falls and breaks, but Michael manages to push the zombie's mouth away and stabs it in the head with the broken hammer handle. Back at the main entrance, A zombie grabs Andrea's pregnant wife, Luda. Kenneth shoots the creature, but it attacks him instead, pushing him into the fountain and injuring his arm during the struggle. Anne picks up Kenneth's fallen gun and shoots the zombie. The bullet hits its shoulder, creating a hole. The three run and regroup with the others, entering the elevator. When they reach the upper floor, they find 3 armed guards who initially refuse to let them in. After some argument, Anne convinces them to allow the group to stay, but the guards confiscate their weapons. On TV, they watch the chaos, death, and destruction taking over the world. They also learn that the only way to kill zombies is by shooting them in the head. One officer mentions a safe haven called Basta, where Kenneth's brother works. Later, Andrea takes Luda to the bathroom and discovers a small wound on her arm. Since it's minor, he assumes it's nothing serious. Anne searches for a first aid kit while breaking down emotionally, but pulls herself together to treat Kenneth's wound. Michael suggests blocking any weak points in the mall and creating a rooftop sign for rescue helicopters. The guards go downstairs and see a zombie convulsing in the fountain. It turns out to be a former guard, and his friends are forced to shoot him in the head. They search other stores, killing any zombies they encounter. Afterward, the guards throw the zombie corpses off the roof, while the rest of the group finishes their SOS sign. From the rooftop, they see the entire city overrun with zombies. Hearing gunshots, they use binoculars to spot Andy on the roof of his gun shop. He holds up a sign saying he's alone, but lowers it to point at something in the sky. A helicopter passes by, and the group waves frantically, but the helicopter ignores them and flies away. At night, the guards lock the group in a store to prevent them from stealing anything. Michael insists they need to take action since help isn't coming, but Andrea believes the helicopter will return. Kenneth doesn't care about the argument, as his only goal is to reach Basta to find his brother. Meanwhile, the guards watch TV, where a preacher claims the zombies are God's punishment for humanity's sins. The next morning, everyone wakes up to the mall's automatic timers, which turn on all the lights and music. The TVs display static, indicating the signal cut off the guard. Terry went to check the control panel, and I saw him convince someone to open the shop so her group could go to the bathroom. Terry reached the control panel and turned off the music before checking the surveillance cameras. He discovered a truck was coming to the mall. When Terry informed everyone, they all ran to the roof and debated what to do. I said they should welcome any survivors, but CJ and Bart didn't want to trust anyone new. Terry disagreed with his friends, so Michael and Kenneth took the opportunity to overpower the other 2 guards, disarmed them, and locked them in the mall's cell. They fought and killed a large number of zombies until they ran out of bullets and had to retreat inside. Thankfully, the survivors in the truck were safe. They pushed the truck to the mall to climb on it and enter without exposing themselves to danger. Once everyone was inside, Anna announced she would check them for injuries, including 6 very sick individuals who had been pushing the truck. Kenneth wanted to take the truck to go to Fort Pastor, but Steve and Norman explained they had come from there, and the zombies had taken over that place too. Kenneth felt defeated and went to the roof, where he saw Andy communicating using another sign. Kenneth said the fort had fallen and no help was coming. Andy replied sarcastically, which made Kenneth smile. Meanwhile, Anna treated everyone's injuries, and Terry looked at the sick woman who suddenly died. Anna confirmed her death after checking her pulse and covering her with a sheet. Suddenly, the woman sat up, and the group began to run when they realized she had turned into a zombie. Anna grabbed an iron rod, and when the woman got too close, she stabbed her in the eye. After seeing the transformation, remembering her husband, Anna told everyone that a zombie bite causes the infection. Frank had been bitten, and Anna wanted to isolate him, but Michael thought they should kill him before he turned. Kenneth agreed. Anna ran to warn Frank, and Nicole begged for mercy, but her pleas went unheard. They gave her a moment to say goodbye, then they locked Frank in a room. Kenneth waited for him to turn to confirm their theory before shooting him in the head. Days passed, and the group tried to entertain themselves. Kenneth played chess with Andy by writing moves on signs. Bart and CJ played cards in the cell. Anna enjoyed watching movies with Michael, and Nicole and Terry bonded while stargazing. Steve spent time with Monica when he wasn't playing golf on the roof. Sometimes the balls would hit the zombies outside. As the crowd at the mall's entrance grew each day, the group wrote requests on signs, and Andy shot the zombies they pointed out, showcasing his excellent aim. One night, the survivors were having dinner, sharing stories about the people they'd lost when the power went out. Andrea rushed to check on Luda, who was very ill, so he tied her to the bed. Later, 4 men went to check the generator and found blood on the walls. Something moved in the darkness, and the group prepared to fight until they realized it was just a dog. Michael called it over, and the animal seemed fine, but suddenly it started barking. A zombie appeared on the roof, jumped on Bart, and bit his neck. All the noise attracted more zombies, who appeared at the end of the hallway. The group ran immediately, but it was too late for Bart, who was left behind as zombie food. Kenneth and Michael opened a gate to escape, and CJ shot a zombie in the face to close it again. They locked the door securely and opened fire on the zombies trying to climb the gate. With little ammunition left, when a zombie fell, it took part of the gate with it. Michael found a gas can, poured it on the zombies, and CJ threw a lighter, causing a massive explosion that burned all the creatures. Meanwhile, Andrea watched as Luda took her last breath. When he looked at her pregnant belly, he was shocked to see the baby still moving, but he had to step back when Luda woke up as a zombie. Cautiously, Andrea found a belt and put it over Luda's mouth so she couldn't bite while giving birth. At the same time, Norma realized she hadn't seen Luda in a while and came to check on her, only to find Andrea with the baby and Luda growling in the bed. Norma immediately opened fire to kill Luda, and a furious Andrea shot back. Both ended up killing each other. The rest of the group heard the gunshots and rushed to the room to hear Norma's last words. Terry wanted to shoot her, but Anna assured him she was dead from the bullets and wouldn't turn. Then they looked at the baby and discovered it was a tiny zombie. They had no choice but to kill it. After moving the bodies and fixing the generator, Kenneth told the group that waiting to die was worse than death itself. Anna said she didn't want to die there. Michael mentioned seeing buses in the garage, suggesting they could reinforce them to escape. Steve proposed sailing on his boat, and the group agreed that traveling to the nearest island was a good idea. They started using all the tools they found in the mall to fortify the buses, spending most of their time working hard. During breaks, they realized they had little ammunition left, but planned to bring Andy along since he might have extra weapons. Kenneth communicated the plan to Andy using signs, and Andy replied with "hungry," indicating he'd lost a lot of weight. The group still needed time to finish the buses, so they had to find a way to send food to Andy to keep him alive until the escape. Remembering the dog was unharmed during the attack, they decided to send it with some supplies and a radio. Their theory was confirmed when the dog walked among the zombies without being attacked. But when Andy opened the door for the dog, zombies tried to get inside. Andy quickly fought them off and shut the door again. However, when he grabbed the radio, he told the group he had been bitten. Nicole panicked, drove the truck to the gun shop, and entered the building as zombies climbed the truck. The group heard Nicole rescuing the dog on the radio, and Kenneth looked at the gun shop roof, realizing Andy had turned into a zombie, his sign now covered in blood. When Andy went back inside, Nicole had to hide to avoid him. A few men decided to rescue Nicole, taking the opportunity to gather more weapons. They entered the sewers after leaving someone to guard the door. After walking for a while, they emerged in the middle of the street, immediately opening fire to clear their path. The zombies, Kenneth knew how to kill them. He killed a few enemies, but a zombie snatched the gun from his hand during the operation. The men climbed onto the transport vehicle to reach the other side. They entered the shop through the dog door and closed it before the zombies could reach them. After that, they grabbed as many weapons as they could carry. They followed a trail of blood on the ground until they found Andy knocking on the door. Kenneth apologized to his friend before shooting him in the head to save Nicole in the end. They needed a good plan to make their way back. So, CJ went to the roof, threw a fuel tank, and shot it to make it explode. The zombies caught fire. The group used the distraction to run through the street, shooting any creature that wasn't burning until they reached the sewers. Some zombies pushed Tucker, and he fell into the pit, breaking his leg. CJ told the others to go on while he stayed behind to help Tucker. The zombies jumped into the sewers too, so CJ shot a few of them before handing the weapons to Tucker. This way, CJ could drag Tucker on the ground, while Tucker shot at the attackers coming their way. Unfortunately, there were too many of them, and they managed to reach Tucker and started eating him. Tucker asked his friend to finish him quickly, so CJ shot him in the head before running to catch up with the others. In the end, the group reached the mall door, but Steve wasn't there to open it. The zombies started climbing the stairs, and the men opened fire. Finally, Anna appeared to let them in. They couldn't close the door again because the zombies were holding it. The team had no choice but to run. When they regrouped with the other survivors, the group, along with the dog, ran to the elevator and closed the doors before the zombies could reach them. They reached the garage and scolded Steve when they found him there. The group split into two to board the buses and escape the mall by breaking the garage doors. The zombies immediately surrounded the vehicles, making movement difficult. The survivors fired from the windows, and Steve even used a chainsaw to kill some zombies. Since the congestion was still heavy and they couldn't move, CJ threw another fuel tank and shot it to create a new explosion that cleared the path. The buses sped through the city, only being stopped by other vehicles. Kenneth saw a zombie hanging onto the bus and swerved suddenly to try to knock it off, causing Glenn to fall with the chainsaw onto Monica. The bus lost control and crashed into a wall, flipping onto its side. The second bus reversed to help them. Steve grabbed a gun and refused to help Kenneth, going off on his own, only to be attacked by zombies. The other survivors regrouped to save their friend. Anna was devastated when she discovered the chainsaw had killed Monica and Glenn. When she turned, zombie Steve tried to attack her, so Anna shot him in the head. Terry killed the zombies surrounding the bus, but the gunshots attracted a large group. The men opened fire to buy time for Anna, who was behind them, retrieving the boat keys from Steve's corpse. She shot a few more zombies with the help of her friends and reached the bus. Michael pulled her inside, and CJ killed the creatures at the door so they could close it. Finally, the bus sped off at full speed, crashing through the gate to reach the pier. The bus almost fell into the water, but luckily got stuck on the edge. The survivors started running toward the boats, with the zombies reaching the area too. Unfortunately, CJ was surrounded and ended up shooting the last fuel tank to take down all the enemies with him, dying in the process. The remaining group prepared to leave, but Michael announced he couldn't go with them because he had been bitten. He said goodbye to Anna, pushed the boat to safety, and then ended his life with a bullet. In the end, Anna, Kenneth, Nicole, Terry, and the dog survived. As they ran, they found a boat with zombies inside and quickly killed them. After many days, when their boat ran out of fuel and their food started to spoil, they reached an island, only to discover it was also full of zombies. The movie ends here. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell to get more new videos.